In this video we're going to round whole numbers. On page 1 we'll round to the nearest 10, page 2 round to the nearest 100. Sorry, it's page 1. This is page 2. And page 3 we'll round to the nearest 1000. Okay. So let's begin. Now if we have the number 38, we need to round that to the nearest 10. Now the first thing I'd like you to do is get out a piece of paper and just quickly write down tens, a whole bunch of tens. In other words, tens means what? 10, 20, 30. Numbers with 0 in the units place, in the ones place. Okay? So if it has a 0 in the ones place, it's a 10. So these are all tens, right? So basically rounding 38 to the nearest 10 is saying what 10 number is 38 nearest to? Well, what 10 number is 38 nearest to? Is it nearest to 20? Nearest to 30? Nearest to 40? Nearest to 50? Which one is it nearest to? It's closest to 40, isn't it? It's closest to 40, and so that's why we round that, and you can do wavy equal sign to show that it's approximately equal to, I guess I'll write that down, approximately equal to 40. So 38 is approximately equal to 40, right? Now, the other way of doing that is saying, look, in the one spot we have an 8. If this number, this digit here is 5 or more, we round up. If it's 4 or less, we round down. So we round up, and then the 3 turns into a 4 in the 10 spot. So that's another way of doing it. But it is important to understand exactly what's going on. If you're asked to round 24 to the nearest 10, what 10 number is 24 nearest to? It is nearest to 10, or is it nearest to 20 or 30 or 40 or what? It's nearest to 20, isn't it? 24 is near, out of these 10s, 24 is nearest to 20. So what we do is we say 24 is approximately equal to 20. Now, the other way of doing it is to say, look, in the one spot, in the units place, we have a 4. Now, if this digit is 4 or less, we round down. And so we round this down, and then this digit stays the same. It just stays at a 2. Okay? So if you have 75, what do you round that guy to? 75 is nearest to what number? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90? What's it nearest to? Well, it's equally as close to 70 and 80. And so you would think that you have a choice. Well, I could round to 70 or I could round to 80. What's the difference? And usually in real life, it doesn't make a difference. But there is a standard practice in math that if this digit here is 5 or more, you must round up. And there is actually a practical reason for that. So we have a choice between 70 or 80, but the rule is if this digit is 5 or more, we round up. And so we say that's approximately equal to 80, so we round up, okay? Now the reason for that, I'll tell you why, is because in real life lots of numbers are already rounded. Like this could represent, say, $75, and that mightn't actually be, I mean, you know, it could actually be that number was originally $75.02. So my point is, when in real life, when you're given the number 75, it may often represent something like 75.02, which should, you would think, round up to 80, because there's this 0.2 at the end of it, 0.02 at the end of it. Or if you were given the number 35, in real life that might actually, in actual fact, be 35.00, 4 or something. So on a lot of numbers that that have a 5 here, there might be more stuff, down the line, which would mean that it's justified to round up. Okay, so my point is, if you have a 5 here, it's quite possible in real life that there is some stuff down the line, more digits down the line, and so it should be rounded up. But that's one way of thinking about it. But basically, what we have to remember is if the next digit is 5 or more, we round up. That's in all cases. Oh, where am I going to write that? Need some space. I apologize. So for all cases, if a digit is 5 or more, round up. And of course 4 or less, round down. Okay, so if it's 5 or more, you round up. 4 or less, you round down. That's how it works. So that's that. Now if we were rounding these guys to the nearest 10, what would we do? Let's have a look at 112. 112, what 10 number is 112 closest to? Well, none of these. But what comes, if we were going 60, 70, 80, 90, what would come next in this sequence of 10s? The next 10 number is in fact 10 tens, or 100. And the next 10 number is 11 tens, or 110. And then we've got 12 tens, 120. 13 tens is 130. 14 tens is 140, and so this sequence does in fact continue. So the point is, any number that has a 0 in the unit spot is in fact a 10. It's a 10 number. It's one of the 10s. Okay. So what is 112 closest to? Well, it's approximately equal to, or it's close to 110, right? And of course the other way, or the quicker way of doing that, is to say, look, I'm rounding to the tens spot. Okay, this is where the tens are. In the 1 spot I have a 2. If this digit is 4 or less, I round down. Does that make sense? I round down, and then these digits stay the same. So if you have 247, now what do you do? You're rounding to the nearest 10, remember, rounding to tens. There's a 4 in the tens spot. There's a 7 in the units spot. Okay? So remember, if it's 5 or more, you round up. If it's 4 or less, you round down. So this, in the unit spot, this is 5 or more. This is more than 5, right? So we round up, don't we? We round up. And so this 4 becomes a 5, and then this is a 0, of course. And so that's approximately equal to 250. Now, of course, if we continue this sequence of tens, we would eventually come to 250. Any number that has a 0 in the unit spot is a 10. Okay? And that even works for thousands. If I'm rounding 3,893 to the nearest 10, I have, in the 10 spot, I have 9. In the unit spot, I have 3. So what do? Do I round up, or do I round down, or what? Round that to the nearest 10. Write down the answer. Write down the answer to that. You're going to round down, right? Because if you got 9 in the 10 spot, we've got a 3 in the 1 spot. So that rounds down, and this becomes 90. You can forget about the rest of the number. This is just 93 rounds to 90. And then write in the rest. 3,890. Okay? So, how about this guy? 45,335. We've got a 5 in the unit spot. We need to round to the nearest 10. Round that guy to the nearest 10. What happens? And you know, a cool thing is, just forget about everything else. Just look at this. We have 35. If I was rounding 35 to the nearest 10, what would I get? you would round up or down. If it's 5 or more in the units, you got to round up, right? So round up to 40. Does that make sense? So 35 rounds up to 40. And then you can just write in the rest. It doesn't matter what that number is. This number could go on forever, right? But you would know what to do because you're just rounding, you're just looking at the tens, right? Okay. If you had 96, what would you do? Round 96 the nearest 10. Write down the answer. It has a 6 in the unit spot and a 9 in the 10 spot. Do we round up or round down? 6 in the unit spot, we round up, right? So we round up, and what's the next number after 9? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So the 9 becomes a 10, and it's rounded up, and so we're left with 100, right? And 100 is a 10 number because it has a 0 in the unit spot. Any number that has a 0 in the unit spot is a multiple of 10. Okay, it's a tens number, let's say. Okay, 295. Round this guy to the nearest 10. Do it by yourself. Try and do it before I can do it. Round it to the nearest 10, what'd you get? This is the 10 spot. We want to round to this place. Now in the units place we have 5. So do we round up or down? If it's 5 or more, we round up, right? So we round this guy up. So this becomes 1 more. Now if I add 1 onto here, if I round up and I add 1 onto here, what's 1 plus 29? What's 1 plus 29? Well, it's 30. So this whole thing becomes 30. And of course this is rounded up, so we have a 0 here. So 295 is approximately equal to 300. And this is a multiple of 10. So again, if I continue this sequence of 10s here, you know, you get 290, and then you get 300, and then you get 310. So 300 is a multiple of 10, right? Because it has a 0 in the unit spot. Any number that has a 0 in the unit spot is a 10. Multiple of 10, right? Okay. 2,900 excuse me, and 97. We want to round that to the nearest 10. And in the unit spot we have a 7. Here's a funny one. What happens now? Do we round up or down? Well, we round up, don't we? We round up. And when I round up, I'm going to add a 1 to this. Now, adding a 1 to this 9 makes that a 10, right? And you could say then that there's another 1 added here, and this 1 and 9 becomes 10. And now there's another 1 added here, and this 1 and 2 becomes a 3. So that's one way of doing it. Or, and of course then you would have 3, 0, 0, 0, right? 3,000. Or you could say, look, I'm rounding up. So this has got to increase by 1. Now if I increase this by 1, this is basically 299. What's 299 plus 1? 299 plus 1 is 300, right? So if I increase 299 by 1, I get 300. So that's another way of looking at it. Anyway. So let's see if you can do this one by yourself. Press pause if you need more time. I want you to do this one all by yourself. Round 4,895 to the nearest 10. Okay, I'm going to do it now. We've got a 5 in the unit spot. We want to round to this place here. So I've got to basically, we end up with 0 here in the unit spot to make it into a 10 number. And we've got to add 1 to here. Now 1 and 9 is 10. Okay, and then we've got, so that'll mean we have to add 1 onto here again. And so we'll have 490. Or the other way of looking at it is just, look, I'm adding 1 to 489. What's 489 plus 1? 489 plus 1 is 490, right? So I get 4900 or 4,900. So this is approximately equal to 4,900. Okay, on to page 2. We're going to round these numbers to the nearest 100. Okay? So if we have 413, if you round that to the nearest 100, what do you get? Now let's first quickly write out what hundreds means. If we're talking about hundreds, we're talking about numbers that look like this. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, and so on, right? These are hundreds. So what 100 is 413 nearest to? Which of these numbers is it nearest to? So I'll just take the tens out of here for now. Okay, so these are my hundreds. Which of these is it nearest to? Is it nearest to 200? Or 300? Or 400? Or 500? Or 600? Or what? 413 is closest to 400. And so, that's the answer. That rounds to 400. Now, another way of doing it is to say, I want to round to the 100 spot. Okay, the 100 spot. And the next digit is a 1. And the nice thing about this is we can completely ignore this digit. The 3 doesn't matter. The fact is, I want to round to the 100 spot, and the digit after that is a 1. Now, if it's 4 or less, we round down. If it's 5 or more, we round up. So this 1 is less than 4, so we round down. And this becomes a 0, the 4 stays the same, and then this digit also becomes a 0, because this has to be a multiple of 100. So it's 400, right? So how about 783? What 100 is that closest to? 600, 700, 800? The multiple of 100 that this is closest to is what? It's closest to 800, right? Now, again, the other way of doing it is to say, look, we want to round to the hundreds spot. The next digit is an 8. Now, if this digit is 5 or more, we round up. If it's 4 or less, we round down. Now, 8 is more than 5, so we round up, right? We round up. So, if we round up, then this 7 here becomes an 8, and everything else is 0. And that's a multiple of 100. So that's rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, how about this guy? 3,824. Round that to the nearest 100. Well, let's see. We want to round to what? To where? Where's the hundreds place in this anyway? Remember, this is thousands. This is hundreds. The 100 spot is here. That's the 100 spot. Okay. So what's the digit after the 8? It's a 2, right? So how do we round this then? We've got to round to the nearest 100. The next digit is a 2. If that digit is 4 or less, we round down, right? So we get 3,800. Now this is a multiple of 100 also. If I was to continue my hundreds numbers here, I'd get 800, 900. What comes after 900 in this sequence? 1,000, right? Or 1,000. Then we'd have 1,100 or 1,100. Then we'd have 1,200 or 1,200, and so on. And eventually, we would in fact come to 3,800 or 3,800. So this is a multiple of 100 because it has 2 zeros here. It has a 0 in the unit spot and a 0 in the 10 spot. Okay, round this guy to the nearest 100 then. Okay, so the hundred spot is 5. The next digit is a 0. And so surely we round down, right? Yep, we round down. So we get 4500 or 4,500. Okay. Round this guy to the nearest 100. What do you get? Well, the 100 spot is here. So this is 34,990, right? The 100 spot is here. The next digit is a 9. Do we round up or down? We round up. Okay. Now that means I'm going to basically add a 1 onto here. Okay. So this is going to become 0, and of course we have 0 here. We're going to add a 1 onto here, and what's 1 plus 9? Well, that's 10. The other way of looking at it is, look, I'm adding a 1 onto 349. What is 349 plus 1? Well, it is 350, right? 350. So, if I do that, if I add the 1 on here, this becomes 35,000, right? Okay, press pause and do these guys if you like, or if you need more time. But go ahead and see if you can do these guys on your own. So you're rounding to the nearest 100. So we've got to round this one to this spot here, right? What's the next digit? The next digit is 5. So do I round up or do I round down? You got to round. Got to round up, right? Press pause if you need more time now. Don't remember you got to press pause if you need more time to try and figure it out on your own. So I'm going to round up. So that means I'm going to add a 1 onto here. So these just 0 out, and you've got 279 plus 1. What does that make? 279 plus 1 is 280, right? So we have 28,000, right? How about this one? 953. Round that to the nearest 100. Have you got it? 953. Round that to the nearest 100. We've got to round to this place here, the hundreds place. After that is a 5. Again, if it's 5 or more, you got to round up. So I've got to add a 1 onto 9. What's 1 plus 9? 1 plus 9 is 10. So the 9 becomes a 10, and everything else is zeroed out. So I have 1000 or 1000, right? So even though these numbers are thousands, they are also multiples of 100. They're also hundreds, all of these guys. I mean, thousands are hundreds, and the reason why they're hundreds, the reason why they are hundreds, like one of these numbers, is because what's common about all these numbers, by the way? What do all these numbers have in common? They all have 2 zeros in this spot. They all have a 0 in the unit spot and a 0 in the 10 spot. Just like these guys, they have a 0 in the unit spot and a 0 in the 10 spot. So even though they are thousands, they're also hundreds. Okay, because they have a 0 in the units and 10 spot, right? Okay, so page 3, we're going to round these guys to the nearest 1000. And first of all, we're going to write out some thousands. Okay, so if you're looking at numbers that are in fact thousands, you're talking about 1000, 2000, right? 3000, 4000. These are thousands. And what's Common about thousands is that they have a 0 in the unit spot, they have a 0 in the 10 spot, and they also have a 0 in the 100 spot. A number that is 1,000 has a 0 in the unit spot, 0 in the 10 spot, and a 0 in the 100 spot. And then you have any digit here. Now that could also be 0, but as long as it has 3 zeros at the end, it's a multiple of 1,000. And so we have 5,000, and so on. Now, isn't there also such a thing as, well, there's also such a thing as 9,000, but what comes after 9,000? 10,000, right? Okay, and then you have 11,000, and so on. Now, there's also such a thing as, 100,000. Have you ever seen that? 100,000? This is also a multiple of 1,000. And the reason is because it has a 0 in the units, tens, and the 100 spot. Same with 10,000. That has a 0 in each spot. Even though there's more zeros afterwards, as long as it has, a 0 here, here, and here, it means it's a multiple of 1,000, right? So we'll bear that in mind as we round these guys. So basically, if you're rounding 4,531 to the nearest 1,000, which multiple of 1,000 is this nearest to? Is it nearest to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, or what? This is approximately, or it's closest to which multiple of 1,000? Is it closest to 4,000? Or is it in fact closer to 5,000? Right? Because of the 31 here especially, I mean, this is obviously closer to 5,000, isn't it? So when we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, we're rounding to this spot here. This is the 1,000 spot. And the digit after that was a 5. And you can forget about everything else. You don't even have to look at that. So you're simply rounding 45. See that? Now, do you round up or down? 45 rounds up to 50. Okay, and then you just plug in the zeros and you're done. So, how about 8,400? What does that round to? You've got to round to the nearest 1,000. What do you get? The next digit is a 4. So do you round up or down? Round down. And again, you can just forget about everything else. You're just rounding 84. Does 84 round up or does 84 round down? It rounds down, doesn't it, to 80, right? And then you just stick in zeros here. And that's that. So that's approximately equal to 8,000. How about 31,582? Round this guy to the nearest 1,000. Have you got it? This is the 1,000. That we have a 1 in the 1,000 spot. We have a 5 in the 100 spot, right? So all we have to think about is, look, I'm rounding 15. Like, you can just forget about everything else. Now, does that round up or down? 15 will round up. It'll round up to give what? It'll round up to give 20, right? So, right here we just stick 20. See that? So, we have zeros here, of course, and then you put the 3 there. So, it's approximately equal to 32,000. And that's the answer. It has a, it has a 0 in the hundreds, tens, and units spot, right? How about 981? How do you round this guy? Well, you've got to round up to the nearest 1,000. There's nothing in the 1,000 spot. If you want, you can stick a 0 there, because 981 is the same thing as 0981. Funny enough. Okay. Now, the next digit is a 9. Do you round up or down? You round up. And so, if I add up, I got to add a 1 on here, and that becomes 1. 1 and 0 is 1. So, in any case, 9 rounds up to 10, let's say. See that? So, we get 1,000. Do this one by yourself. Round 583 to the nearest 1,000. It's like saying, you know, which of these 1,000 numbers is that nearest to? 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? It's nearest to 1,000. And the 5 rounds up to 10, basically. So we get 1,000, right? So what about this number here? 409,908. How would you round this guy to the nearest 1,000? So first of all, mark, you know, which digit is the 1,000 digit in this number? Let's go through them. We've got ones or units, right? Tens. What's next? Hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, right? So the 1,000 digit is this guy, right? So we're going to round to this place, and the next number is a 9, right? So do we round up or down? Round up, right? So if you round up, then we got to add 1 on here, and the 1 and 9 gives a 10, basically, right? So basically you're rounding up, and the 9 becomes a 10. See that? That 9 there becomes a 10. And so everything else, of course, this is zeroed out here. This all becomes 0. And of course the 4 stays there. So 409,908. And if you think about it, if somebody says that a huge house costs this amount of money, you probably could round that in your head to, well, 410,000, right? Does that make sense? Do these numbers looks like the right answer, right? Okay, what about a enormous piece of land costs $3,879,541? Round this to the nearest 1,000. Round this to the nearest 1,000. Price for a big piece of land, right? So where is the 1,000 place in this number? It's here, right? And what digit comes after that? 5, right? So do we round up or down? We've got to round. We've got basically 95 there. So we round up. Okay, and so, you know, you get a 0 here, and you add a 1 on to the 9, right? And so basically becomes 10, right? So if that becomes 10, then you got 0 here, and you got to add 1 onto here, right? Or you can just think, look, I'm adding 1 to 79, and that gives, what's 79 plus 1? 80, right? So in any case, a 1 transfers over to the 7, and you end up with 8, right? So everything else here stays the same, of course. And this is zeroed out. So the piece of land, you could say, is approximately 3,880,000. So you don't have to say all of these digits, right? How about this guy? Round this to the nearest 1,000. Press pause if you need more time. Round this guy to the nearest 1,000. So in the 1,000 spot, we have this digit here, 9, right? After that is a 4. Do I round up or down? 94 rounds up or down? Oh, it just rounds down to 90, right? 94 rounds down to 90. And of course these are zeros, and the rest is the same. So if a big piece of land cost $4,209,498, you could round that to $4,209, right?